Good afternoon. Welcome to Options Tender. It's Monday. Happy Monday, everybody. August 12th, 2024. We're taking a look at SPY on multiple time frames. We'll check out the targets on SPY QQQ SMH since we did a members video on NVIDIA. And we'll go around the horn, see what we can learn here. I am leaning more bearish now because of the setups that I'm looking at in the mega tech stocks and semiconductors. Also, because the ascending triangle setup that we had on SPY specifically, also the Qs, the price didn't really break out. It just kind of, ground to the upside. And that's indicative of a bearish move. You know, price just couldn't break out. And you'd see long Maribozu candles and whatnot breaking out of an ascending triangle. This isn't the case. It's barely grinding to the upside, okay? So I think the resolution will be down, so make sure you stick around to see where those go. If you want to just kind of zoom through this, I talk you through this. It is a little bit longer. Put your speed on 1.25 or 1.5 play on YouTube here. Okay, and we're doing this intraday around 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. If you want to get these videos intraday, then consider becoming a supporter. If not, the videos will come out at 4 p.m. to the public, so not a huge deal. Let's jump into it. We have SPY on the monthly time frame. We have our 2000 top, so trend line to the 2021, and we're at a top. We're forming a top right now. Do we eke out new highs, or do we go lower from here? That is the big question on SPY. I do think the Qs have topped. I do think that's an impulse wave that's in. We're just looking to see if, perhaps there's one more wave down, and I'm leaning that way. Now, if we get that wave down, to me, it confirms that SPY has made its top and that we have an impulse wave down, and we're going to look for a retracement for a lower high. That could be a deep retracement, but we're not looking to receive a new high in SPY if we happen to get a new low here. So on the monthly time frame, we're pushing off that 8 EMA. That's really, and also this consolidation area, that's really the only bullish thing we have left going on all of these time frames. So, although we may eke out a new low and retest the highs, that's bearish. This is a bearish setup. So we're forming a top. That's really what we're getting at. Let's go to the weekly. And on all time frames, negative divergence was forming. We mentioned that over and over, and now they're starting to play out. So here's the weekly look here. We have a possible channel. Could that channel... Well, I think it will test, but could this actually be a channel? That's yet to be known, because there's only one point here. So, price eventually could get down here. Let's see if it holds. But I just have it there for keepsake at this point. Right now, with the candles breaking down from resistance, we had a throw over from the 2000 trend line, broke down underneath the 21 moving average. I didn't think that was going to, I thought it would have been more like this, but instead we're doing something like this, where we broke down from it. We're testing that 21 moving average from under 20 simple moving average from underneath. Some people use a 21 week moving average, EMAs and stuff like that. I use a 20 week simple moving average, 50, 100, and 200. So we're testing from the bottom here. I do suspect we get a rejection, and price potentially, we're looking for the next target to be down here around the 495. That's a zone, so keep that in mind. On the weekly time frame, that seems kind of obvious. Why? Because we have a little consolidation area here. So we had good support. We had resistance and had to hold it twice for 2 weeks here. Held that support here 2 weeks. And we have the 50-week moving average right here. So I suspect price will get down to this level. If it does, then we'll be looking for a head and shoulder setup. And the 20 simple moving average will play a huge role in this setup. So as price breaks down these moving averages, this is a trend average here. We have the momentum, which the 8 EMA will start to come into play for the downside. Okay, so if we get this new low here, I think it's the possibility of making a new high has diminished greatly. If we make a higher low, then I do think we'll reach new highs here. But we have to keep in mind, and let's go to the next board, we have to keep in mind that we can't take out completely the fact that this could be a wave 4 move, even with the next possible move to the downside. It would be a typical spot for a wave 4 to reach, and we're playing off of this structure here. So this would be our first wave and a wave 2. Whether you say this is a wave 1, 2, whatever kind of flat, this is the bottom of 2. So we're playing off of there. We already had a reaction off the 23% retracement, which is very shallow. That's very bullish. But if we can't hold 520, that was our very important number in our last video. 520 breaks down, I think we're headed all the way down to that 495 area. This is 492 at the 38.2. It's just undercutting this low here, which is a confluence of this whole area that we're talking about. So we're going to call it 495 just for round numbers. Could spike here, 50-week moving average. This is a big area. Okay, so I think that price may get there. If it needs to go lower, you have former highs here. I don't think that's the case, and I'll show you. Specifically on SMH, I do think it's going to be more of a double bottom, but we could, we'll have to see what price does on those, on the Qs and where that price action goes before we can determine any of that. So we do have a time relationship on the weekly around the beginning of September. So we'll keep that in mind, but this price action is moving so fast. I'm not sure that this will actually be a low here. I think this potentially could come into play where we get 2 weeks, 3 weeks max into a low. But I mean, honestly, by the end of this week, we could already be making a new low and going into next week to actually have a wick. Okay, anything can happen. And then maybe we form some sort of bottom around beginning of September. It's just a guess because price action is moving so fast with the volatility escalating. All right, so when price goes into this time frame, we'll see what kind of where we're at. Let's jump to the daily. On the daily time frame, we had our the bearish rising wedge, broke down from it, filled that out, back tested that wedge, had a huge move to the downside, and now we're having just a creep up here. So what we're looking for is a pullback to see if that 520 area holds. If the 520 holds, I think we have a good chance to make this into an ending diagonal for new highs. If 520 breaks, we're going to use that as our ceiling, okay, for any back tester or anything like that, and then I think price will drop pretty dramatically down to those zones that we were talking about, even as low as 491. But we'll call it 495 right here. We have the 200-day moving average. We'll probably get a just like we saw on the other moving averages where price may stop on and then gap underneath the next day. So just be careful. The 200-day moving average doesn't necessarily have to hold price right away. It could hold price for the day ending and then drop underneath. So be careful of that moving average. I made that mistake on the 20-week simple moving average where I thought that was going to hold and then it gapped underneath it. All right, so we have these lows here that are possible consolidation zone here, and we're looking at this consolidation zone to possibly hold price at that 495. We will potentially draw a possible wedge. So price action can go into some sort of wedge bottom here. And then later on, assuming we stop somewhere around this area, we'll look for this wedge to fill out, bullish falling wedge. And then we'll look for a retracement if price breaks down that low. Otherwise, after the fact, we'll be looking for this downtrend line to come into play, whether it be for the ending diagonal or the wedge breakout, possible retracement, and maybe a downtrend line. So maybe more possible downside. So we'll keep that line there as well. But this is our setup, the wedge. All right, let's go over to the next board. And by the way, and I'll show you, it doesn't matter what board, I'll show you what we're looking for is we're trying to cross over on the MACD. I think we have that potential to break down to the 382, and this should form a bullish divergence. All right, so that's what we're looking for. That's the setup. Bullish divergence on the daily time frame with a wedge. That would be a beautiful, beautiful bullish setup. And I think it'll be correctional, but your ripper face-off rallies are fantastic to trade. So we do have an 816 to 819 cluster here for time relationship. And that's coming up this week. So really, I think that's more of a realistic low that we could be looking for into those time frames going into the end of the week and into the beginning of next week, which I think the 19th, it might be Monday or so. I didn't look, but maybe that's turnaround Tuesday. Okay. So with a bearish week and a Friday perhaps going lower and Monday following through, maybe we're looking for some sort of low here going into 816 to 819 cluster. All right, that might be the weekend. And then we'll look for our retracement up there if price breaks underneath 520. All right, I know that's premature for some people. They say, hey, well, technically, you can make a double bottom here. We could do it. Believe me, if you're trading, just use your reference point. Mine is 520. Yours could be different because this is a major area here. Okay, break down from here. This is your ceiling. It gets back above and holds above 520. You gotta remain bullish with maybe put protection. Okay, that's how we're trading. All right, let's go to the 65. And we'll kind of go around the horn. Might flip over to the daily on some of these. All right, so looking a little bit closer, we already drew in that wedge here. I think we're looking for that to fill out more. So this is actually my primary now is in purple, and the secondary would be in teal. But primary, secondary doesn't matter because my mind frame has to flip when and if these things change. So forget about, what primary, and these are scenarios. If the 520 holds, this is a scenario. Now I have a potential channel with those two tops that I was showing you. That's the downtrend line. So if we are bullish, we hold. I suspect this will just be a wave one, an ABC into wave one, and we'll see how that downtrend line plays. If we break down from 520, here we go. We have the possible channel here with some touches that we hold at about 495. And the wedge goes a little bit steeper. So that's potentially all the way down to 491. Okay? Doesn't need to touch the bottom of the wedge. But if it does, so be it. We're in bear land right now. All right? And those are some pretty good support resistance down here at around the 492, 491 area, which the 382 retracement. All right, let's go. And then we have FOMC coming up. I like to mark that because that's always a good reference for turning points. And looking closer here. here's what we have. Potentially an A, B, C. If this low holds, we have an A, B, C. This would be considered our wave 4, and we have potential 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 going to new high. Okay, so this will 520 will be that pivot. If this breaks down, then in yellow, we're looking at this being a leading diagonal. And so I'll get to where this might end in just a second. So we're looking for each wave to be 3 waves into a 5-wave move. 1, 2, 3 into a 1, 2, 3, 4, which we're doing right now, and 5 down to the 3, 8, 2 retracement, which would be still a potential wave 4 or an impulse 1. If it's a 1, we look for a retracement and then lower pricing. If it's a 4, we're looking for a new high. We can't take that out. But with this possibly being a 5-wave move, I still can't X out the wave 4 into the 382 retracement. It'll just make it less probable. I know there's a lot of stuff happening here, but what we're focusing on is this retracement right here from the potential top of wave 2 down to wave 3 into a retracement. Because this is a potential leading diagonal, price doesn't have to do it, but a textbook leading diagonal, we would cross over wave 4 into wave 1. So if we get that crossover, that says we're going to make it over here to the 62% retracement from this move. That would be identical to what this did. This first 1, 2, that was a 62% retracement. So this would be just equal to that. I know it looks bigger, but the wave was bigger. So, okay, so that would be 537, 83. And also that coincides with the 50% retracement of this entire move. So you typically get, no matter what 50% retracement you're doing, you get a reaction off of it. So I think price is attracted to this area, and I think they'll get there. It's already kind of holding the 50% from this wave, from that potential wave 3. So we're kind of holding there, and maybe it goes and touches it by the end of the day, or maybe, if it touches it by the end of the day, I suspect we have a gap down tomorrow with the PPI. Okay, if it doesn't reach that point, then potentially the PPI we could open up at about the same point, and maybe the PPI brings us up to there, and then we have a gap and trap where we move down from there. So either way, I'm already loaded in. I'll add in just a touch more near term. I'm already in my swings, but my near term meaning 1 or 2 day expirations if we tag this 62%. All right, that was the gist of this video, but we're going to go around the horn, see what these might look like. Here's what this potential channel could be on the Qs. So this channel is going to be very important for the market. We have a couple touches here, and then you'll see price go down to potentially 400. If it's fast enough, maybe the bottom of the channel, 410 is a good area. So we should break these lows here and test that 410. That's what I imagine this will happen. We'll see how that goes, but we're also going to watch SMH, and I'll get there in a second, which will give us clues because SMH is a leading indicator. So this is kind of grinding around this area. This is a bearish rising wedge, and also in confluence. So before I move from this page, if we break out from this downtrend line, that's a really good probability that the correction is over, and that we start moving to the upside for a retracement on the Qs and probably a new high on SPY. Looking at this point of view, with this potentially being wave 3, we have a 1, 2, and all of this being a potential wave 3. Then we're looking at a wave 4 being at the 382. We already tagged it. We're already in our shorts. We're already in our puts for the wave 4. And then we'll have our decision point lower. So either way, we're looking for price to correct. And we'll get a nice play with this. And then we'll see where we go from these lows here around 430. We'll call it 436, 437. There's a little gap there. That might give us a little bit of time to decide on putting call protection to the upside and leaving some put swings. That's what I'm doing right now. That's what I set up today. So this potentially is looking for a wave 5 to the downside. Now, where does all end? I'm going to look at SMH really to see where this, if we get a new low, where this ends. Because we have our move here, potential A, or excuse me, oh my gosh, that's not the high. Right here, our 5-wave move, wave 3, 4, and I suspect SMH is not going to go as low as all the others because it's going to lead us back to the upside for the correction. And where I get that from, we have great support here. We didn't quite reach it on the last move, but I suspect this will be a double bottom. We have this trend line here from the bottom. Can't see it from this point. Let's go to the daily. So from this point to this low, the 200-day moving average there, price could spike down through there, give us a head and shoulders setup. Could spike lower, but I suspect in a daily time frame will hold this level and close above it. With again confluence here and this trend line here, and then start to break out from this downtrend line with a positive divergence. With this low, get a double bottom by just getting a new low. We'll watch to see what it does there. We'll probably go long on SMH, start changing our mentality that we're going to start going upward, and we'll see where price goes for SPY. You know, the other markets could still pull SPY down a little bit lower, but this will be a good clue that we're starting to bottom on the market. So that's what I'm watching on SMH. Do the VIX. We're not going to look at IWM or DIA today. And here's the VIX right into this fantastic support area that we've just had here. We didn't just draw this. It's just there. Okay. It's there to stay. We're getting a potential reversal candle off of it. Also, the 20 simple moving average on the daily time frame. It's a trend indicator. The trend is still technically up for volatility. I don't think it makes a new high, but I do suspect it moves up, maybe closes the gaps, and has a lower high as the market makes a lower low. That's divergence, and then we'll see the market correct with this correcting as well. All right, that's what I got for you. Hope this helps. Each and every day we try to do these. And look, I didn't even change this board. Look at that. That's the breakout. All right, this line can be moved in any direction. It's huge zone. That's a great spot. 19, holding that to back test, could go higher. All right, like the video. We'll talk to you soon.